Namaste, my name is Sanat Kumar. Welcome back to the Manana podcast. Manana is a Sanskrit word that means reflection or contemplation. In this podcast, I'll be sharing my deep, insightful reflections for you to contemplate and hence live a life of fulfillment. I hope you find great value in today's episode. Welcome back to the series Understanding Advaitha. In the first two parts, we've discussed Advaitha relative to Advaita and busted some of the most common myths about Advaita. In this episode, we'll be seeing the reason for the confusion and discrepancies. Why are there so many teachings of Advaita that are misunderstood? Why these discrepancies? To understand the answer to that question, we must know a little bit about yoga. Whatever Krishna has told us, whatever there is in the scriptures. So, basics at least. We all know yoga vaguely means union. It signifies and can be defined in various ways through varied perspectives. For the convenience of categorizing and understanding, yoga is said to be divided into four main categories: Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Of course, as you try to understand life more profoundly, you will realize that yoga is not of types. It's like a spectrum of light that has beams of different wavelengths. Anyway, for the convenience, we have categorized them, and it's okay. So these discrepancies in explaining Advaitas arrive when bhaktas, karma yogis, or kriya practitioners talk about jnana. Do you see what I'm telling? You can find someone who degrades Advaita, defames Jagadguru Sri Adi Shankaracharya to be a bhakta, not a seeker. First of all, we should understand that truly wise people do not try to degrade others' ideologies or beliefs, etc. And the ultimate wisdom is one that can comprise everything, right? So, what I'm trying to say is that when you try to understand what is art, for example, from a businessman's perspective, you're far from the truth, right? Then, when seen from an artist's perspective, you can't learn to play football with an astrologer as your mentor, right? You want a footballer or a professional football player as your mentor to become great at football. Similarly, it's mainly bhaktas who mistook and considered themselves as jnanis for reciting Krishna's lines from Bhagavad Gita. Reciting, right? Of course, there is the ultimate wisdom in the Bhagavad Gita, no doubt about that. Did they truly understand it deeply enough to consider themselves jnanis? Or, in other words, to speak ill about great scholars, true jnanis like Jagadguru Sri Adi Shankaracharya? How do they consider themselves that great? I don't understand. Anyway, I'm not trying to generalize. Everyone are doing this way. Whoever is doing, let them take that. Whoever is open-minded, let them stay that way. So why do these bhaktas degrade or defame Advaita, the path of knowledge? It's simply because they do not understand it. Either they haven't tried to understand it, or while trying to understand, they couldn't withstand that their beliefs needed to be broken. And of course, that's not a trait of a seeker. Or they didn't understand, they were just confused, right? So I've told you this. Only the person who can destroy his own belief system and rebuild a fresh one can grow and realize the truth. See, only a believer says, I don't agree, without explaining. But a seeker or a knower is always open to novel arguments, even if it destroys his belief system. And he says, I don't agree because he has a valid reason. According to him, there is nothing that is out of reach through his reasoning. Viveka has a lot of importance in the path of knowledge, in Dhyana Yoga, in Advaita. However, I must remind you that Advaita does not disregard any form of attempt in realizing truth. I agree, Sri Shankaracharya's words are so straightforward that they might seem as disrespectful to other forms of realizing truth, that is bhakti or karma or kriya, whatever that is. But that's far from it. He's being so straightforward so as to deliberately push you, like I say, burn your certificates. Do I literally mean that? No, I'm pushing you to serve the humanity, right? I think that's similar case to Sri Adi Shankaracharya, but of course, I cannot compare myself to him because total different levels. But he's being so straightforward so as to deliberately push our reasoning abilities and provoke us to reason and reflect to realize the ultimate truth. See, I'll give you an example to understand the scenario here. A seeker asks this question: why does this world exist? Why do we exist in it? The Bhakta says, for all the jiva to go through their karmas and attain liberation. Seeker asks, I'm asking before that, why do even jiva exist? Okay, forget why. Tell me this, was jiva created by the Paramatma, God, for his entertainment? Bhakta says, no, God did not create jiva. They wouldn't say yes, because if jiva had been created by God, how would it be Dvaita, dualism? The seeker then says, I understand God has no beginning and that he's out of the time dimension, but if jiva also existed independently, since God, since God means time, then it is also timeless? Jiva is also timeless? If yes, does that mean both Jivatma and Paramatma are derived from one single source, Nirguna Parabrahma, commonly called the Brahman? I disagree. No Nirguna Parabrahma, says Bhakta. Seeker asks, then who created Jiva? Bhakta says, I don't agree. No Nirguna Parabrahma. Okay, I must admit this is a real scenario. This is real conversation I had with Bhakta who didn't have answer for this. Probably some Bhakta has answer for this. I don't know. I'm looking for answer. I'm open to it because I'm a seeker. I don't say what I know is truth and only the truth. That is not the characteristic of a seeker. It's a characteristic of a believer. I'm okay with my beliefs being destroyed because I'm looking for the truth. I don't care if my beliefs are destroyed, right? It might be painful, but I'm okay with it. However, this is not mentioned in the intent to defame bhaktas as a whole, okay? But it is true that the discrepancies in Advaita are due to some bhaktas trying to teach what they do not know. It's simple as that. Jnana in Jnana Yoga refers to the knowledge of the self. Sankhya Yoga, the ultimate wisdom. Krishna himself has told that. People got confused Jnana to be knowledge of God, specific knowledge, general knowledge, etc., subjectively. Basically, these people got confused. They were masked by an effect, what psychologists now call confirmation bias. They couldn't, for once, see clearly setting their beliefs aside. They couldn't even assume there could exist different planes or levels of realities. They couldn't understand that it's not only them who is trying to say the truth, but the other person is also telling the truth, but in different planes of reality. Bhaktas love, karma yogis do, kriya practitioners experience. But the problem began when some of them assumed their roles to that of a seeker. Seeker see and started preaching jnana. So it's this confusion in their roles, or in other words, the lack of self awareness that led to these discrepancies. Of course, an individual can choose more than one path, but one must be aware of his choice. Otherwise, these confusions happen. And the other reason that added on to this delusion creating machine is that people got confused with the topic of discussion as to be religion based. It is not. There existed no concept of religion or caste in ancient times. And especially Sanatana Dharma never specifies religion at all. Varna system is not a discrimination system based on religion. It was based on the work people do. And that's how it must be. So try to know about something before drawing conclusions and fixed beliefs and mindset around it. Try to understand Advaita clearly before you come to any conclusion. Like telling, I don't like Advaita or something like that. Don't say that before you try to understand Advaita clearly. And triple check whose opinion you are listening to. That is very important. Let a chartered accountant not tell you how to proceed with your artist life because he doesn't know how it feels like to be artist, right? He doesn't know how it feels, nor does he know anything about artist life. If you want jnana, receive from one in the path of knowledge itself, not from who may have high level of expertise, but on a different path, right? Especially if you are looking for awareness, there is no other option but to go looking for a jnani. But it is very, very hard to find such people. So I think you should start practicing on your own. Start observing your thoughts, start collecting them, start reflecting more and more deep reflections, contemplate on them so much. Use and practice your viveka, the art of distinction, and probably in few years or in few lifetimes, you might realize what Advaita is all about. I'm not realized, by the way. I'm just doing that. I'm just practicing my Viveka, my rational thinking. And Viveka has definitely an important role in Advaita. And in fact, everything is attainable through that, Advaita says. I'm just doing that. And I'm sharing my insights on Advaita and Dvaita. I think for now, this will be it. This series of three parts has come to a pause. I'll be writing the next part soon, and till then, keep reflecting. I hope you received excellent value in today's episode. To know more, head over to sanatkumarnahibi.com, and if you haven't already, check out my book, The Flower of Fulfillment. Thank you for listening, and I wish you have a great day.